What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran, and we're back with another tune from the Greatest compilation from 1998, although the tune is also like Come Undone from the Wedding album, although I saw something when I was looking earlier today that it's like referred to in some places as the self-titled album, so I don't know if the Wedding album is like an informal title, but yeah, bottom line, this is from the album from 1993, heard here on the compilation from 1998. It's interesting, when I first heard this, I felt like, there were lines like, where's the world I recognize, and it's a song about an ordinary world, and, there's lines about, like, seeing the news, like, float by in the street where, the newspaper's talking about greed and suffering and holy wars and pain and so on. And like, maybe my problems aren't as bad as what other people are experiencing. So I thought it was like a bit more general in terms of just feeling like, finding your place in the world and like, trying to strive for a world that you can understand, but also recognizing that, even if you feel this malaise, even if you feel it slipping away, that there's other people who maybe have it even tougher, so try to understand like where you are in the world. But I eventually read that this was actually sort of written about the way that Duran Duran had really kind of exploded in the early 80s and become very popular, internationally celebrated. And then I guess by the end of that decade, and as the 90s began, their popularity had diminished somewhat, and they at least weren't being, played on the radio or on MTV as much, and, the, music critics weren't talking about them as much, and so on. And I believe, if I remember reading correctly, that I think Simon Le Bon went to some cafe or whatever, and like no one recognized him, and it was so different from the world that he had known like a decade earlier, where again everywhere they would go it was lots of attention and lots of excitement. And I think so the song is actually not like I want to get back to an ordinary world. It's like now I find myself in this sort of ordinary world among, everyday folk who have their own concerns and who are suffering and, go through sort of tough times and so on. So, maybe my sort of feelings of loss about losing that sort of excitement that we had, that sort of influence and celebration that people had for us, maybe losing that isn't the absolute worst thing in the world. But indeed, I have to find my way now in this ordinary world, now that I'm not living on this sort of traveling around the world and playing shows to thousands of people and so on. But of course the irony is that this song, maybe more than any other, certainly along with Come Undone and the album that is either the self-titled or the Wedding album, it made them massively like popular again. And I remember seeing the Come Undone video in particular on like MTV, and hearing both of the songs on the radio a lot. So yeah, like I guess it's sort of like this weird irony that a song that was about sort of losing this sort of international recognition and having to kind of just get by like a lot of less internationally recognized musicians do, was suddenly sort of the launching pad to a massive resurgence in their popularity again. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed the lyrics. Musically, it does have this sort of like wistful, like longing feeling to it. But yeah, I do know that the version on the compilation here, Greatest, is called the single version. So I guess this was the version that was released as the single, which perhaps differs at least in part from the studio version from the album. So if you do know how it differs, do let me know. Other than that, here we go. This is Ordinary World on the album compilation Greatest by Duran Duran.
Coming from a rainy Thursday on the avenue, thought I heard you talking softly. I turned on the lights, the TV and the radio. Still I can't escape the ghost of you.
It's like trying to just make things loud and keep himself busy and so on, but the absence of a person is like bitterly felt, or the absence of something is keenly felt. And I do love that sentiment that, you know, even if they hadn't had this big resurgence in the wake of this album and song, you know, I'm not gonna cry about it. Like, it's weird, but I'm gonna get by. Acoustic guitar, yeah. That snare. It was like the vocals were doubled there, but the like doubled vocal had like effects on it. Even as a teenager, I was like, all right, that's a pretty poetic line. I'll give you that one. And maybe the thing that is being missed is the yesterday. It is the way things used to be. Even though here it's sort of personified as an individual. Guitar there, the way it flared and flourished.
Papers in the roadside tell of suffering and grief. Fear today, forgot tomorrow. Ooh, here beside the news of holy war and holy me. Ours is just a
It's like orchestral strings going on here. Just amazing singing. Again, it's weird though, the faded ending. Regardless of that though, I mean, it's just an amazing song. And again, it makes perfect sense to me that this was a massive hit that did make people say, oh, damn, you know, I've been sleeping on Duran Duran. I forgot about him. But yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, I do think "Come Undone" might be like my favorite song from that album and this sort of, you know, early '90s period. But it's interesting because, you know, I don't remember their catalog or know their catalog nearly as significantly as Depeche Mode and, you know, some other bands that I listen to, like punk rock and so on. So it'll be interesting to kind of go back and start listening to some more of these tunes, not only on this compilation album, but I'm in the process of getting some other things, including their most recent album, already ordered. But yeah, we'll have to see how like other songs sort of fit with what I think I sort of see in terms of the evolution. But again, do let me know if there's some songs in particular that some of you like to hear. There have been a couple shout outs already to like, oh, you should listen to this one, so on. So when I get some of these materials, I will definitely go through it. But if you do know the greatest compilation, let me know if there's something else on there you'd like me to react to. Other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I do appreciate it. Have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you next time.